Good day everyone, I am Narhaya S. Lumumba from BSPA LRG 2B. Some terminologies in accounting. Define internal controls. Internal controls are the methods and procedures set up by management to safeguard assets and to ensure that accounting records are accurate and reliable. So, ang internal controls ay ang pamamaraan na itinakda ng pamamahala upang maprotektahan ng mga ari-arian at upang matiyak na ang mga talaan ng accounting ay tumpak at maaasahan. So, internal control as defined by accounting and auditing is a process of assuring of an organization's objectives in operational effectiveness and efficiency, reliable financial reporting, and compliance with laws, regulation, and policies. So what is internal control? Examples: internal controls procedure documents transaction by creating an audit trail. They limit the action of employees by requiring authorization, approval, and verification of selected transactions. They segregate duties because certain job responsibilities are mutually incompatible and, if left unchecked, allow one person to much unsupervised access to company assets. No individual should be able to initiate a transaction and then approve it. Record the information in accounting records and control the proceeds and resort. Internal controls are either preventive or detective. Preventive controls are designed to prevent errors, inaccuracy, or fraud before it occurs. Detective controls are intended to uncover the existence of error, inaccuracies, or fraud that has already occurred. Internal controls divided into the accounting controls and administrative controls. So what is accounting controls? Accounting controls are the measures and controls adopted by an organization that leads to increased efficiency and compliance across the organization and ensures that financial statements are accurate when presented to auditor, banker, inventor, and other stakeholders. There are various types of controls applied within an organization. Also, there is no straightforward control policy that applies to every organization. The application of controls for each organization is designed and implemented to suit its needs. The type of business aspirations, goals, and other guidelines. Type of accounting controls. There are three major categories of accounting internal controls. First is detective controls, preventive controls, and corrective controls. What is detective controls? The name suggests these controls are the control in place to detect any discrepancy and deviation from the policies in place. It also serves the purpose of the integrity check. So what is preventive controls? The controls are applied daily within the organization to stop the errors or discrepancy for happening in the first place. We can say these are the rules with anyone within the organization has to abide by in their day-to-day job. So what is corrective controls? These are the controls that came to rescue when preventive and detective both the controls have failed to avoid an error. In an accounting environment, posting an adjustment and rectification entry is an example of corresponding controls. Once the books are closed after the financial year and auditors find an issue that needs to be addressed, reopening the financial yearbook, and making the adjustments asked by an auditor is also a part of corrective control. So what is the example of accounting internal control? Segregation of duties. Processor and approver should be two different people. An independent user ID and password should be provided to the all employees. Physical verification of inventory and assets should be done. Bank Bank reconciliation and other trial balance reconciliations should be done. Standard operating procedure documents should be made regarding process flow. Surprise check of petty cash and cash book balances. Advantage of accounting internal controls. The action log identifies the person responsible for any error. Accuracy of financial statement and fund application. Efficient use of the resources for the intended purpose. Helpful in audit facilitation. A strong foundation for a more significant growth. Identification and rectification of any discrepancy identified. Saving of cost and resources. So, disadvantage of accounting internal controls. Sometimes irritating and time-consuming for employees. The high cost of maintaining controls and standards. Over Department for Financial Statement and Audit. Duplication of work. So, what is administrative controls? Administrative controls or work practice controls are changes in work procedures such as written, safety policies, rules, supervision, schedule, and training with the goal of reducing the duration, frequency, and severity of exposure to hazardous chemicals or situations. So what are examples of administrative controls? Administrative controls limit workers' exposures by scheduling shorter time work in contaminant areas or by implementing other rules. These control measures have many limitations because the hazard itself is not actually removed or reduced. Administrative controls are not generally favored because they can be difficult to implement, maintain, and are not a reliable way to reduce exposure. When necessary methods of administrative controls include restricting access to a work area, restricting the task to only those competent or qualified to perform the work, scheduling maintenance and other high-exposure operation for times when few workers are present, such as evening, weekends. Using job rotation schedule that limit the amount of time an individual worker is exposed to substance. Using a work test schedule that limits the length of time worker is exposed to hazard. So, that's all. Thank you and wassalam.